There's a weird feeling that nobody really prepares you for when you get to your 20s. You spend your entire childhood thinking that by this age, you would have everything figured out. You imagine yourself having the dream job, making good money, being independent, maybe even having your own place, your own car, your own life. But then you actually get here and you realize you're just trying to figure out what to do tomorrow. I think one of the hardest parts of being in your 20s is seeing everyone else look like they're moving ahead while you feel like you're standing still. You open social media and see someone your age buying their first house, starting a successful business, traveling around the world, getting promoted, someone achieving the things you thought you would have already achieved by now. And then you look at yourself and think, am I falling behind? Because that's the scary part, not knowing if you're actually lost. Or maybe you're just taking a different route. I think a lot of us grew up believing that life was supposed to be a straight line. You graduate, you get a good job, climb the ladder, become successful. But nobody tells you that real life is more like flying. You have a destination, but the route changes constantly. Sometimes you encounter bad weather, you have to change your altitude. Sometimes you even have to divert because the path you planned isn't possible anymore. And honestly, that's okay. Maybe that's something we forget. I've had moments where I looked at my life and wondered, am I actually making progress? Should I be further ahead by now? And those thoughts are scary because there's this invisible timeline that society creates. By 25, you should have this, by 30, you should have that. And if you don't, you start feeling like you failed. But maybe success isn't always as obvious as we think. Maybe success isn't having a high paying job. Maybe it isn't having thousands of followers or having everything figured out. Maybe sometimes success is just continuing, showing up when you don't know exactly where you're going, learning new skills, taking risks, trying things that might fail. Because if you think about it, an airplane spends most of its journey just cruising. I mean, the exciting parts are just the takeoff and landing, but most of the flight, it's just moving forward, quietly, steadily. And I think life is the same. We're so focused on the big moments, the achievements, the milestones, the things we can show to other people. But we forget that most of life happens in between those moments. The random Tuesday nights when you're working on yourself, the mornings where you force yourself to get up and try again. It's the small decisions that nobody notices. Those are the moments that actually build your future. But of course, there will be turbulence, moments where you question everything, where your plans don't work, where you feel like you're going backwards. And when you're in the middle of turbulence, it feels like it's going to last forever. But every pilot knows something important. Turbulence doesn't mean the airplane is falling. It just means that the air isn't smooth right now. Maybe life works the same way. A bad season doesn't mean you have a bad life. A setback doesn't mean you're a failure. Being lost doesn't mean you're going nowhere. Sometimes you just need to figure out your next direction. I think one of the biggest lessons I've learned is that there is no perfect timeline. There's no age where you suddenly become successful and everything makes sense. Some people find their path at 18, some find it at 25, some even find it at 40. Main point is, you keep moving. Because an aircraft doesn't reach its destination by constantly checking if another aircraft is flying faster. It doesn't look at another plane and think, why am I not there yet? It just follows its own flight plan, making adjustments along the way. And maybe that's what we need to do. Stop measuring our lives against someone else's journey. Stop thinking we're behind because our path looks different. Because maybe you're not behind. Maybe you're just somewhere between takeoff and landing. Your 20s are not supposed to be the chapter where you have everything figured out. They're supposed to be the chapter where you discover who you are, where you make mistakes, where you try things, where you fail, you learn. It's where you slowly build the person you want to become. So if you're watching this right now and you feel lost, I hope you remember this. A plane doesn't need to see the entire route to start flying. It only needs the next instruction, the next heading, the next step. And maybe that's all we need to. You don't need to have your entire life figured out today. You just need to keep moving. Because someday, you'll look back at this moment and realize that the person who felt lost was actually on the right track.